Lord & Taylor, they were founded in 1826. They have filed for Chapter 11 protection. You got Tailored Brands, which owns Men's Warehouse and Joseph A. Banks. They filed for bankruptcy protection. And they're not alone. We've seen some of the big names this year file for bankruptcy protection. Neiman Marcus, J.C. Penney, Modell's, the sporting goods store. Brian Cheung, we expected retail to go through an evolution, but this is more of a catastrophic revolution, isn't it?
Well, and the challenge here is really parsing out how much of these bankruptcies are due to secular trends that existed well before the COVID-19 crisis, and then ultimately facing their final fate with this pandemic that we find ourselves in. But when you look at a story like Lord & Taylor, that being the most recent company as of Sunday to go out of business, I mean, I speak very closely with a retail analyst. That's my mom, who is a frequent shopper at Lord & Taylor. We live across the street from one growing up in New Jersey. And she was always saying, you know, Brian, I got to say Lord & Taylor, I think, is on the way out. So them filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy does show that my mom was correct on that. But when we look at Lord & Taylor as a retail brand facing the same fate as Macy's, JCPenney's, people don't go to these malls anymore. And when you talk about that barbell approach, people maybe only wanting to go to large malls if it's extremely upscale or a discount outlet, it shows that those in the middle, those like Lord & Taylor, are really the ones that get caught in the crosshairs. The only problem is that I can't really see this the trademarks for this company being as powerful as a target as, say, J.Crew or Neiman Marcus, which also filed for bankruptcy, but could find a savior in the form of some private equity firm. I don't know if Lord & Taylor is going to be able to find that.
Brian, I think you bring up a lot of really good points about some of these retailers who have gone bankrupt, really falling under the pressure even pre-pandemic of this shift to online shopping, shift away from big department store footprints. And if we think about just some of the names that have filed in addition to Lord & Taylor, one of the ones that I feel is pretty analogous is just with Brooks Brothers. It's another company that's about 200 years old, have been struggling with that shift away from that sort of Wall Street look, having to be extremely put together, really dressed up for work, that casualification of the office space, even before the coronavirus pandemic, really taking a toll on that company. Also with Lord & Taylor as well, if we just think about the number of direct-to-consumer retail brands that are now out there that are really very hyper-focused on what a younger consumer is looking for, just the fashion trends overall, I think, is a big portion of this. And having a huge retail footprint, of course, not helping at all when they have to continue paying rent when people just aren't shopping in person with stay-in-place orders still in effect.